was near the end of high school that it was time to look at colleges, and the first thing that came to my mind was art school. So I started looking for art schools, and I applied to a bunch, and I knew I had to make a portfolio. So I had never taken an art class to this point. I was a senior in high school. I'd never taken an art class. I finally got accepted into an art school in San Francisco, but I couldn't afford to go, so I never actually went. So instead I decided to go to NMSU. And then becoming interested, I never read comics throughout all of high school. I never read comics, which is weird, and a lot of people think I'm weird. But I feel like what's cool is I don't have like a tainted perspective of what, I'm not like, oh, these comics were the best and the 90s was the best, and because I never really read anything. I just wanted to draw. I would sit on my computer for hours every day learning how to make a comic. I didn't know what to do. So I would read a long article, and in the article it says something about type penciling. And I was like, what the heck is that? I don't know what that means. So then I Googled type penciling, and then I Googled this, and it led me to artists. It started leading me to specific artists. So I told my dad, I'm not going to art school, can I go to Comic-Con? And so yeah, he sent me to Comic-Con. And I was torn apart by editors and people, you know, because I was horrible. On the last day of Comic-Con, I didn't know, I was torn apart by the editors. I wasn't really told to keep trying. And on my way out, I stopped one artist who was picking up all his stuff. It was like the last day, so everybody was cleaning up, and the security was telling us to leave and everything. One artist saw me carrying a portfolio. He said, is that a portfolio? And I was like, oh, no. And I started walking away. He was like, hey, don't be shy with that. Let me see it. And so he started flipping through it, and he gave me a ton of feedback. It was like, here's how you get better at this. Here's how you get better at this. And thankfully, I went home with something after all of that, like, hard rejection. And I started talking to my friend Ricky online, who I had met through a website called DeviantArt, and he was trying to pursue comics as well. He was sending me the stuff he was doing, which was for a book called El Paso, and I was like, that's cool, you know, I live in El Paso. He was seeing I was improving. I was taking the feedback that editors gave me, that artists gave me, and I was improving on it. And he saw that right away, and he said, look, a few artists have dropped out on this book, and we need one. I'm going to recommend you. You know, don't get your hopes up, but I'm going to try. And so then I was contacted by this writer who was local here in El Paso, Jimmy Portillo. He's a local historian and a comic book writer. We made, you know, an agreement on pay, and I got my first actual, like, paid comic book job. And I actually drew myself into this book for fun, so I'm in there forever. Was to fund my everything else, I actually went out and I applied for over 160 jobs. And I remember that number because it was rough. Local part-time jobs just to pay my rent. And so I couldn't afford my apartment anymore. I had to move out and everything, but now I had to make money. So I was just doing art on the side in a smaller way while I was pursuing business. And so I started a marketing business. I partnered with a multi-million-dollar company that's based out of Utah, and I would market and do, like, sales and different things. It got to a point where I was getting a little burned out. Even though it was paying me constantly, I was itching to draw. I said, okay, I'm gonna now make this smaller and make my art bigger again. started putting a few pages online, and then I started getting contacted about other projects. And then I started putting a few of those pages online of different projects. And as I was improving, I was getting bigger and bigger and bigger projects. I found out they were building this building, and I came and I applied, and I went through the long application process, and I even moved down the street so that I would be close when hopefully maybe that I would get into the art space. I thought maybe I couldn't go to art school. I don't need to at this point, but I could have what I missed out on, which is living in a living space full of artists with similar dreams. So,